I forgot about the fact that this was the one with the fucking Ewoks.
Huh?
Until the first Ewok popped up, and I went, oh fuck, that's right.
Wait, what? I missed it.
The Ewoks he's talking about, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
I totally forgot that this was the one with the Ewoks, and then the first one popped up. And
Welcome to Teddy Bear Vietnam, boys.
Yeah, I made a bunch of notes on that, largely because I know in the original version it was supposed to be Wookiees, but he couldn't find that many tall people.
It was much easier to find short people, so we just used them.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that's always thrown me. It's like, we couldn't find enough tall people or reasonably tall
Do we
people.
want to do a
or
countdown, or are we just going from this? Josh?
We had a perfectly good intro, Ben.
I know, I'm saying we didn't do a countdown. Are we just gonna...
No, we're not in a podcast yet.
Jeez, okay, that's what I'm asking.
I'm sorry. Chris, please talk about Ewoks some more.
I don't want to talk about Ewoks anymore. I want it to not be this movie. I want to not talk about Ewoks anymore.
That's the intro. Now we found it. Now we can start the podcast. After 5 minutes of bullshit rambling.
That's how it always goes. That's how it always goes.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Star Wars Every Week Forever, in which we are now at the end of our original trilogy watch through and are at Return of the Jedi. As always, I'm here with Chris and Ben. I guess we should probably start with, this was the week we put up the preview episode.
Yeah, Josh is just spilling the beans.
No.
We've date stamped enough, so we're people. Look, I mean, if people are this far into the podcast and they're still listening, they are fully aware now.
Also, like 90%, not like our listening base currently is strictly our close friends. So,
yeah. I mean, that's the dream, and we're one person in Sweden. Thank you, Swedish friend.
Thank you, Swedish friend. We're international celebrities now, boys.
We got a comment on the YouTube video that said first, so I think we've made it.
We've made it. It's official.
We were really happy with the response we got, so thank you all for having interest in this bullshit, and we look forward to the future. In that regard. In other regards, not so much. How was your watch, Ben?
Yes, the burn of Fred's fly.
Fucking Christ.
Very good, very good.
It's
very
a decent movie. It's not my favorite Star Wars, but I mean it's still Star Wars. So it is. This week marks, I think, the first week since maybe a Phantom Menace where I didn't watch Day of. So that's a plus.
So proud of you.
Don't be. I've set the bar too high as it is.
Chris, how was your watch?
It was good. I, however, have not stopped watching Day of, so it's still fresh. Don't particularly have many notes other than coming out of the watch. I'm really disappointed that in all of the fucking about George and now Disney have done with this trilogy, putting new stuff in after, maybe once this podcast gets traction, we get, Teddy Bear Vietnam more accepted as a movie. I want them to put a scene at the very end of the movie where it's just two Ewoks sitting with 1,000-yard stares and cigarettes staring off into the distance.
We really are tickled pink by that bit, aren't we?
With the transparency of like X-wings and like different starships.
One of them's got like a little tiny Ewok crutch.
This was our war.
One of the things will be like a Y-wing dropping charges on one of the Imperial ships.
My watch was fine. You know what? Let's just bounce right off of that. I don't want to. I feel like I'm getting pretty close to applying Star Trek rules to Star Wars with this, and I don't want to seem like I am. One of the big plot points in the middle of this movie is that the Ewok C3PO is a god. And did not one of these motherfuckers worry about not only seeing C3PO as a god, but seeing Luke make them think that 3PO could float people, and then telling them a story of space wars? Did none of these motherfuckers consider that maybe they have in some way altered their natural evolution as a people for the rest of time?
I mean, I feel like either way, that was their
Yeah, but just because the
natural
Empire...
evolution was going to get fucked. And I think, honestly, hearing stories about how the Empire is a piece of shit is the less of the two evils there.
But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is they set up a droid who will never come back to the planet as a religious symbol on Endor, probably for the rest of time.
I'm not seeing a major issue here. I'm going to be honest with you, Chief.
How?
In the Star Wars universe, you could do a lot worse than C-3PO as a deity.
Yeah. There's literally, in the new canon, there's literally a cult that worships Darth Vader post-Empire.
Okay, but do you not see anything ethically wrong with going to a planet of people that are in their Stone Age and presenting a god for them for their entire evolution as a people to in some way worship, that you created, that you presented because of your worldview, because you get out of a shitty situation?
Okay, the shitty situation was getting eaten alive. I would totally make them think I was friends with a god if it kept me from getting eaten alive.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the thing. It's like, well, we're about to get eaten by little teddy bears, and the Empire is going to win this war. Or I can just tell them that 3PO is a god, and we can defeat the Empire.
But they were totally okay with doing that as well when they were just stuck in by the way, Chewbacca getting everybody trapped by finding a slab of meat, that's as Phantom Menace as Return of the Jedi gets. That is so Phantom Menace jokey. But they were all trying to get him to act like a god when there were a bunch of teddy bears standing around them with spearheads pointed at them.
If I had teddy bears with spearheads pointed at me, I'd have my friend pretend to be a god to get me out of it.
Three of us had people pointing spears at us, and the only way to get out of it was to prop Ben up as a god.
Luke had
their worldview.
Luke had the ability at any time to push them back or pick one of them up. And then when they were like, "Are you a god?" he could have said no.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't see that going over very well.
This is not the hill I expected.
Are you a god? No.
No, like this I'm sorry, this is the hill I will die on. This was morally and ethically wrong in every capacity.
I mean, it's not like things can't be fixed after the fact. It's not like they hung around, they partied with them. Everyone's happy. It seems like it sorted itself out. Now, if they had decided to enslave the Ewoks by using C-3PO as a god, yeah, maybe that wouldn't be the best. This seems like a victimless crime.
I feel like it is the lesser of the evils.
Otherwise, we could have had Vader on the planet force-choking teddy bears, and that's a better version of the movie.
I don't like that the argument I'm getting is, yeah, we did it so that the Empire didn't do it.
No, we did it so the Empire didn't either A, slaughter them, or B, enslave them. If they believed a god visited them, that's the more mild path there.
I feel like multiple rotations of these movies will be kind to this opinion, so I will move on from it. But I wanted to plant the seed because it's super weird that they were just fine with it from the outset?
I don't know so much that they were fine with it.
Han tried to get 3PO to... Okay. I've already said
it
this.
We're about to get eaten. So, hey, let's do the thing that seems to be working.
Yeah, but there was a scene before that where they were just sitting on the ground, and Han was like, "Oh, they think you're a god? Well, why don't we take advantage of that?" Before they were in any mortal danger.
He was wait, Josh, are you going to tell me they weren't in danger when they had an entire tribe of teddy bears with sharpened
and
spears?
Lightsabers.
Okay. 3 blasters and a lightsaber against an entire tribe.
Yes.
An entire tribe that fucked up the Empire.
I will not move from this opinion, but I think I will. I think multiple rotations of this movie will make you all come around, and I look forward to that inevitable day.
It will probably not.
So it will not. I've seen this movie so many times in my life, and I've never looked at that and gone, man, they're a bunch of fucking assholes, these poor teddy bears. Now, like I said, I long for the version of the movie where it's Darth Vader that crash landed on the planet and force choked a bunch of teddy bears.
It's worth saying the Ewoks are such a George has a troubling history in regards to creating like life debt related uncivilized people that just happen to be aliens, and it's becoming more and more uncomfortable the more I watch these movies. I mean from the first movie he was like, this is Chewbacca, he has a life debt.
And then Jar Jar.
Yeah, exactly. That was the
I was gonna ask where else, but then I remembered Jar Jar was a thing.
Jar Jar is the thing. Yeah, it would have been. This movie would have been like. So I've said in the past that I think the opening of this movie is kind of flawed and kind of stop-start. I never realized how much the middle of the movie is too. I recall the middle of the movie being so long as it was in this watch.
I watched this movie today. The movie is so great until they leave Tatooine, and then it starts to fall apart for me.
Nah, my problem with Tatooine is like there are moments of greatness in there, but it stretches on for long periods of time where it absolutely does not need to. It feels like padding.
I would rather the padding of the stuff on Tatooine than the padding of all of the Ewok bullshit.
I'm not saying otherwise, but the Tatooine part is significantly longer than the middle part with the Ewoks.
If I could have gotten longer on Tatooine and eliminated the Ewoks, this is immediately a better movie.
I mean, the problem is that the Ewoks exist at all, not necessarily with the comparison. If they had done something different, like had the Death Star over some sort of docking yard like Kuwait, where they had some level of control, it would have been a better movie. Because then you could have set up that there was a natural rebellion already on the planet and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but then that's like George's whole thing with that was the return to nature.
Yeah, but I don't like his return to nature tropes. They're fatally flawed.
I feel like most are.
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
the only one who did it right was Tolkien, if you ask me, and that's because he had a bunch of trees just fuck over everything.
I don't like...
The best example of return to nature stories is Princess Mononoke. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Also, I'm gonna skip over to Dagobah real quick. Because I feel like Dagobah is just everyone being an absolute dick to Luke.
Well,
Luke shows up. Luke's like, all right, I'm going to Dagobah. See you guys. And then R2's like, why the fuck are we going to Dagobah? And Luke's like, shut up, we're going. So they go to Dagobah, and fucking Yoda's there like, oh no, I'm dying. Good thing you got here when you did. And Luke's like, so Darth Vader, right? And Yoda's like, yeah, you gotta kill him. And Luke's just like, see, he's my dad, right? And Yoda's like, I'm gonna go die, and Luke's like, well, hold on.
He ain't learned shit. He ain't learned shit.
No,
All
that
these years.
my favorite fucking part of that, and that's like one of the few notes I have, is, you know, Josh throughout this whole podcast process has continually brought up dickhead Yoda, and I can see it for the most part, but there's been times where I'm like, he's not that much of a dickhead, and then but the moment where he's like, it's time for the forever sleep. I've earned it. I have. Fuck, you have. What have you earned? Bitch, you ain't earned shit. You didn't do anything. You did fucking nothing.
Yoda's MO, like I said the one episode, Yoda's MO for the whole series is, don't worry, we have a plan B. And he repeats that sentiment throughout the prequels and throughout the OT.
There's I have exactly 2 notes for this movie, and it was that, and from the same scene. It's during that fucking part of it, Luke does the Yoda, you can't die. But the way, I love Mark Hamill, and I love Mark Hamill so much, but the way that line is delivered, it's like those cheesy snippets of 80s porn that float around the internet all the time, where it's like bad dialogue delivered in the worst way possible.
Oh my god.
Yoda, you can't die. Like, Mark, come on, man, what are we doing? I can't even blame George for that one. The dialogue's fine.
It doesn't help that right after, Obi-Wan has become like the biggest Yoda apologist that is humanly possible.
Oh my god. Fucking Obi-Wan in this movie. Yeah, and that was part 2 of this rant was gonna be, and then Obi-Wan rolls up and Luke's like, what the fuck, dude? And Obi-Wan's like, well, from a certain point of view, and I would have looked at him right in his ghostly fucking face and been like, listen here, you little shit. It's my fucking dad you're talking about. And the line that bugs me so much with Yoda is when Yoda's like, yeah, he's your dad. And Luke's like all sad because he realizes he's got to either kill his dad or like try and save him. And Yoda's like, unfortunate this is. And it makes me so happy that Luke's like, hold the fuck up. It's only unfortunate because I know now. And the answer was yes, but Yoda like danced around it so fucking much.
I couldn't help but feel like, once again, the better dialogue here would have been like, fucking Ghost. Sir Alec Guinness comes walking out of the woods just like, hey, Luke, I'm a ghost now. And Luke, like, I really wish Luke would have been like, this is where you want to send me? What the fuck, man? Look at this guy. And fucking Alec Guinness being totally done with this role by this point, like, oh, I don't know, Luke. He wasn't this crazy when I knew him last. I don't know what the fuck happened. This one's on me, buddy.
The worst part about that entire thing is that I never realized, obviously Obi-Wan in this entire trilogy has been terribly, terribly marred by context from the prequels. And just not keeping to your wits in writing what you wrote in the fucking actual original trilogy.
I've never owned a droid.
From a certain point of view. But it's worse because we now know that Obi-Wan and Yoda kept like some kind of communication through the Force that entire time, that entire 20 years. And it's like Obi-Wan became such a student again of Yoda that he refuses to see any flaws he might have, despite the fact that Yoda is largely responsible for everything that has happened, and he's not unaware of this.
And I feel like it's just like, I feel bad for Luke because it wasn't even just like one of them being a dickhead to them. He got like the double whammy. Like, he walks out of Yoda's hut all depressed. Fucking Yoda just died. Basically told him, hey, go slaughter your old man. And then he's like, "Oh, thank goodness, Obi-Wan, I could talk to someone." And Obi-Wan's like, "Yeah, I lied to you, but fuck you."
He's
I
like,
lied to you, Luke, but fuck you and fuck your daddy.
your father died 2 decades ago when he turned to the dark side, and I left him on fire in a lava stream, where I could have prevented all of this from happening.
I love, once again, like the EU, the current EU, giving more weird context to the OT and making it weird. Like when fucking Luke first finds Obi-Wan, it's like he's a hermit. He's been doing nothing out in the desert for years, and in reality, it's like, well, I just killed Darth Maul like 3 days ago.
Well, it's actually was not much worse in the original EU, because there's an old the Darth Maul robotic legs actually come from a comic that was done during the EU, where Darth Maul goes to Tatooine to murder Luke, which he somehow knows exists, and Obi-Wan has to save him. And then after he saves Luke, Uncle Owen is just like, "Get the fuck off my property, you crazy old man."
No, but hold up, it gets better. Because I was at Disney at the beginning of the year, and I picked up this book, and it's supposed to be like legends from within the Star Wars universe. And they talk about this hermit who shows up on Tatooine out of nowhere right before the Empire rises, and tames a fucking dragon and scares the shit out of a group of sand people with it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was these sand people were the Great Dragon. Yes, like this like tribe or clan, I forget what the terminology they use for the groups of sand people, but essentially this group of sand people ended up having to start raiding other groups of sand people to feed this dragon that was oppressing them. And Obi-Wan just comes along and like basically uses the Force to tame it, and then scares the shit out of all the sand people with it. And he's like, "Don't be doing that again, or I'll be back."
I could be wrong. I could be taking 2 parts of the plot and mashing them together, but isn't that just the plot of the Knights of the Old Republic Tatooine episode? I feel like it is.
God. Oh God.
It's similar.
It's not. Sure. It's not far off, I'll tell you that. As the resident Old Republic expert.
I really can't wait for this fucking Obi-Wan show they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, was it confirmed? I saw stuff about it. I didn't read anything.
Yeah, it's been confirmed for a long time, but the development had to be put off because, end of the world.
I can't wait for them to. I can't wait for the show to come out and for this retrospective bullshit to get worse. Like, where it's like, no, this crazy old hermit. Oh no, because I know what they're gonna fucking do. I know the shit they're gonna pull. It's gonna be like, no, Obi-Wan left Tatooine a couple of times because there was some big thing he had to do, and he fought fucking this person, and he did this stuff, and all of these adventures. Fuck
and
you.
See it already. The writing's on the fucking walls. They're gonna do everything in their power to get Obi-Wan as close to Darth Vader as possible without them actually interacting. It's gonna be just like fucking Anakin and Grievous in the Clone Wars. Where they're dancing around them meeting because of the lines in the movie where they haven't met yet, so they can't make them meet, like, actually face to face.
I don't remember what the line is except what does he say to Obi-Wan when they meet up in A New Hope? Because if I remember correctly, it's not. Someone pointed out a while ago that it doesn't necessarily discount the fact that they could have met at least one other time.
When last we met, I was but a learner. Now I am the master.
I mean, shit, that line doesn't even make sense in the context of anymore. Like, it doesn't even technically make sense at that point because Anakin had a fucking Padawan because of Clone Wars. This canon's dumb now. They fucked everything. Everything's fucking wonky. Nothing makes sense.
It hasn't been good forever. It's been 2.5 decades of it being fucked up. Listen, the best canonical thing that they could do for the Obi-Wan series is it's just Cheers, but on Tatooine. That's the only thing that canonically won't fuck something up. And I would be fine with Ben Kenobi Cheers.
The only cool thing they could have done, they did already on Rebels, with Darth Maul finding him out in the fucking desert.
Which they took from another thing.
Yeah, like, they did that already. So, like, they can't even fucking do that for the show. So, like, you took the one fucking cool, interesting thing you could have done.
I like how we've spent, like, 20 minutes on Obi-Wan in the desert, which doesn't even happen in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Seems
we...
pretty par for the course.
I really want to talk about the plan that Luke had for rescuing Han.
Yes, please, let's get into this.
Yeah.
So, you're fucking telling me, and this seems to be a repeated theme in the podcast of us pointing out how bad plans are, but I feel like this might be the worst. You're telling me that Luke sent Lando Calrissian there, like, way before it happened to be a guard, and instead of using that to gather intel, or using it so unthoroughly to gather intel that he doesn't know the majority of what he's walking into, he sends one, possibly two of his own people to get captured inside of Jabba's hut. He sends two droids for all he knows could have been destroyed as soon as they were sent to say, no, fuck you, I don't need your goddamn droids. He then goes there himself and basically says, and basically allows himself to be captured under the assumption that R2 was gonna somehow, some way, going to be at the place of his execution so that he could and functional enough to pop that lightsaber out of his head so that he could fight back. This is some fucking Space Coke uncle shit.
Can I point out, though, that was the plan B. The plan A was Luke was going to do all that premeditated shit, roll up to Jabba's palace and be like, yo, let Han go. I straight up strangled two of your guards. And he expected Jabba to just be like, yeah.
I don't think Luke thought that would work. I'll give him that much credit. But this whole thing, it's like...
It is four-dimension chess.
It's not four-dimension chess.
No,
it's
I mean, if Luke could foresee that much...
I would like an R2-D2 shots cooler. I really want that. Anyway.
I just really want, like, a deleted scene of Lando rolling up to Jabba's palace like, yes, I have a resume. Here's my resume. I make a great guard. All right, cool. And now I wait. And then it's just Lando pulling guard shifts until Luke decides it's time for
it's like
the fucking rescue.
It's like when Luke was making his new lightsaber, he found like a holocron of just Qui-Gon's craziest plans and like took that thing so to heart that he could only do Qui-Gon plans for the rest of his life.
He's sitting there with a fucking notebook and pen, taking notes.
The holocron starts off and it's just oh, okay. Let me tell you what we do. Let me tell you about the huts.
What you gotta do is get a Toydarian. The lightsaber fighting. In general, in this movie, lightsabers work. In general, in this movie, lightsabers work a little bit differently than it does anywhere else in the saga. Because even if you look at the Vader duel at the end, In order to go through Vader's hand, he has to apply pressure, which you never see anywhere else in the saga. Because he ricochets off of the little handrails multiple times. It doesn't break through, but he has to like put his weight into cutting through the hand. That does not excuse the fact that this fucking movie has an extended action scene where the lightsaber doesn't even work like a club where it doesn't go through people. It basically doesn't hit anybody, and everybody's just taking invisible bumps off of the fucking lightsaber.
I rewound the skiff fight scene like 5 times because I was laughing so hard. Because it's almost refreshing after all the wasted motion and twirls from the prequels to see somebody just fucking swinging it all over the place, trying to hit something. Just fuck your twirls. I'm gonna kill everything on the skiff. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Everyone out of the way of the laser sword.
And like, even in the context of the original trilogy, like in A New Hope, in the cantina, Obi-Wan cuts off the one guy's arm, and like his arm falls off. There's scorch marks. I mean, granted, there's blood, but like whatever. It didn't cauterize it. Fucking, there's a part where Luke climbs up a bunch of steps and slashes at a Gamorrean guard, and nothing happens to the Gamorrean guard. He just falls over dead. No apparent burns or anything. He's, oh, well, I'm dead now. It's
truly incredible.
And you knew I was going to bring it up, because I know in the preview episode I brought it up, but my favorite shot in all of cinema appears in this movie. While Boba Fett's flying around getting killed by a half-blind Han Solo, I'm still mad about that. There's the shot where Luke's in the middle of fighting people with his laser sword in his hand, and he thinks, oh, I'm going to kick this dude instead of just laser swording him in the face. So he kicks him, but there's like a solid 2 feet of just air between this man's face and Luke's foot.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And it makes me so happy.
That entire action scene is so fucking bad in the best way possible. There are so many George Lucas staples that start in this movie. Creating characters just to kill off in a really incoherent and boring way. The creation of an indigenous people that were just going to kind of make either racist or like just unpleasant in some way. Merchandising. Like, this is the place where George really becomes George.
Or he becomes a sellout, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait a minute, I can make money off of these? Oh, hell yeah.
I can make extra money off these?
Put teddy bears at the end. Fuck it.
It's interesting, too, because the entire ending of this movie is like... The entire ending of this movie is Star Wars to me. Like, it is prototypical everything that is Star Wars to me. I will say, some of this ending has the same problems Phantom Menace does. Everything around the duel between Vader and Luke with Palps there are like lesser scenes. But the thing this does that Phantom Menace doesn't is that it has enough star power to make all those scenes work. Obviously, Ewoks are Ewoks, but they're willing to not play the Ewoks for as much comedy in order to make it work. And the fighters, the assault on the Death Star outside is short enough that you don't spend a lot of time with it. So between Leia and Han playing off of each other, keeping the tone appropriate, and Lando and the performance of a lifetime for some reason, Admiral Akbar, they managed to make it really work so that nothing detracts from the central, like to me, unarguably, best put together scene in the franchise. It's not my favorite scene, but like that entire Death Star, Luke and Vader duel with Palpatine there, from the moment Luke gets there, is like That's fucking Star Wars to me.
I agree. That is, and that's why this leads me into my absolute most hated change that George ever made. And that is when Darth at the climax, when fucking Darth Vader sees his son getting fucking zapped by the Emperor. Which, by the way they lead up to the Emperor using Force Lightning is fucking brilliant.
And
Because it just comes the fuck out of nowhere.
The way that the Emperor is shadowed up to that point is fantastic. There's points where he will open his mouth and it just looks like a shadowy void. They do everything in their power up to that moment to keep his face shrouded in darkness, so all you can see is the terrible scarring, and oh my god, it's just so good.
Even I noticed at some points, like when him and Vader are walking from when he just landed, like even when the Emperor faces the camera, you can't really you could see his whole face, but you can't make out his eyes or anything. They look blurred. Yeah. But all of that lead up to the climax of this, and you see the part I love about that section so much, the throne room, is you can see, even with the mask on, even with the helmet on, you can see the turmoil in Darth Vader, and then he just fucking goes no, and then he picks up the Emperor, and it makes me so angry because it was so perfect, and you Georged it.
You Georged it.
You Georged it.
God, I mean, fucking that, and also literally the worst fucking addition, which is goddamn Hayden Christensen.
Honestly, the no makes me angrier.
You want to know?
Does it really?
Yeah, the no is my least favorite edit in all of the edits.
The Hayden Christensen throws me so much because I don't know what fucking scene they took that from.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
I used to remember I think it was the elevator from episode 2.
He looks so evil. So evil.
Like he looks like the end when fucking Obi-Wan and Yoda are like happy and smiling, Anakin's like leering, and he's just like it's like oh god, he has not changed. He's evil. It's like episodes 7, 8, and 9 are going to be the revenge of Force Ghost Anakin.
Also, this kind of leads into, I had a coworker who told me this, and I agree with it, even though I don't want to, because it kind of ruins it for me. But the entire original trilogy is about how Darth Vader used to be a Jedi who now killed every Jedi he came across and blew up an entire planet, as well as oppressed the entire galaxy. But it's okay. He saved his son's life, so he's good guy now.
Do you want me to do this right now?
I don't know.
Is this going to be another Ewok? Right.
No, this is the documentary that I said I was going to watch for this episode.
No.
So I was waiting till the end, but since it's the natural lead-in. Next rotation, I'm going to watch all of the special features that I humanly can. It's like a 5-page Google Doc. For me, it's going to be genuine hell. But I mentioned last episode that there is a documentary on Revenge of the Sith called The Chosen One. It's about 15 minutes, and it's all about George and some of the people in the cast talking about how the entire saga sort of works together. And it is some of the fucking most bullshit I've heard, and it directly talks about that.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of George saying in this documentary, hey, this was all meant to be seen as one movie, which thank you for the 806-minute movie, Georgie boy. I appreciate it so very much. If it's meant to be one movie, that's a lot of my fucking time you expect me to have. I can't do that in a day, Georgie boy. I have things to do in my day, Georgie boy. I can't watch them as fucking... He talks about like how his original vision was that Vader was supposed to look like this pathetic creature. And you could see that throughout the original trilogy, but it didn't work out because he couldn't tell his full story. One, I know that's bullshit because I've seen the original version of the movie, and it has nothing to do with that. But two, and actually Hayden Christensen says this, and it's actually kind of sad, and I feel bad for Hayden. They have him do a sound bit where he's like, well, the ultimate evil of Vader is that you look at Vader and that black mask and that black costume and his height, and you can kind of hyperimpose the evils of the world onto it. And then, a scene later, he has to, cut back and defend his role because he's already perfectly explained why Vader was Vader on first interpretation. I know it's hard for us to think about that because we're not from that era, but it's difficult. Also, a quick note from this documentary. I just want to sneak it in here before I kind of tie it up in a
Before it
nice
gets
little...
lost in the ramblings of everyone.
I'm sure I'm going to talk about this more next rotation. But there's a scene in this where they talk about, or where George is directing on set. And there's two things that happen in this. The first is George literally tells, by acting out the scene, in a terrible way, by the way, but by acting out the scene, he tells Hayden Christensen how he wants him to do the scene. He doesn't imply or say an emotion or anything like that. He tells him how to say his lines and exactly how to turn, which blocking is one thing, but telling someone how to say their lines is another. No wonder everyone seems so unnatural in those movies, because he's overproducing them to a ridiculous extent. The second
He's over-directing.
The second one. The scene between Palpatine and Anakin where he falls. He rewrote that scene to make it longer the weekend before they filmed it.
Oh, Jesus.
That scene is janky in the format we saw. What the fuck was that scene beforehand?
Hey, Anakin, do you want to be evil? Yes, please. Okay.
It's I don't know how that scene could be shorter because it would just make it so much worse than it already is. Because already it kind of just feels like he's giving in and he's not really he doesn't really have a specific reason to do so other than I just cut off the hand of a Jedi. So, I don't know. The entire point of the documentary that George is trying to get across is that it's the love of a son that redeemed him, and through that, he still defeated all of the Sith and brought balance to the Force. He's still the hero. He's still the chosen one. Maybe he's still the chosen one. I don't know. Things like that work weird. You're fucking telling me that you knew that this is what you wanted to do with the series, but you had him commit, 1, a genocide, a literal genocide, 2, murder multiple children, and 3, go to the other side of a war that that Palpatine put together, and then murder anyone that might have seen something that in any way could peg the guy who created a war from both sides, and murder all of them. The guy who wasn't the guy who pressed the trigger to blow up a peaceful planet, but was definitely complicit in it. This is the guy that we redeemed. It's
How about to make it worse? Darth Vader issued at least, or was the perpetrator of at least 3 genocides. Because he slaughters the Tuskens.
Yeah.
Later on in current canon, they literally, and this is the wording they use, they literally sterilize Geonosis on Darth Vader's command, and then they blow up Alderaan.
Wait. What?
Yeah, Geonosis is totally destroyed in the current canon post Clone Wars.
Oh my god!
In the Darth Vader comics, he has to go back to Geonosis because he finds out there's one queen that survived, and she creates droids because she's gone insane because she's the last remaining of her species, and she thinks the droids are her Geonosian children. And actually, in Clone Wars, they go to Geonosis and they talk about how it's sterile. Or not Clone Wars, in Rebels.
Yeah, I'm looking
oh my
at
God,
it now.
that's right.
Yeah, because they
Oh
meet
my God, I forgot
Click
all
Clack.
about that.
You motherfucker. You.
Yeah.
Oh my
At
God,
least,
I forgot
at
all
least
about that.
3 genocides.
But he's a special
Oh.
boy. He's a special boy. Because he's the special boy. Because he's the special boy, it doesn't matter that he did all these bad things because some people were mean to him when he was little. I know we've talked about how much of a dick Yoda is, and he absolutely is. And I know we've talked about how much of a cult the Jedi are. They absolutely are. But this man still did these things under his fucking decisions. And I know it's so dumb to make this fucking complaint at this point in the saga. It is such the great man theory in all its disgusting glory that I could not get rid of the pit in my stomach the more I listen to it. Because the older I get, the more I am so uncomfortable with how this all became the Skywalker saga. Anakin's totally okay now.
You know, there would have been a real easy way to fix this too. Like, with these new movies, you could have easily done a 5-minute scene where Luke is talking to Rey and says something to the effect of like, "Yeah, you know, I thought my father was redeemed, and then I did some research and I found out all of the shit he did."
I mean,
and
they do that.
Fuck that guy.
I was just surfing the HoloNet one day, and
I mean, they do that in The Last Jedi, but it's not in regards to Vader. It's in regards to the Jedi Order.
Well, but basically it amounts to Luke being like, well, the Jedi have some flaws.
No, it's like Luke going, the Jedi shouldn't exist because they're fucked up.
Well, but that's a lot of like self-loathing and stuff. There's never a moment where they disavow what Anakin did. And
no, they're not. You're absolutely right.
If you want to go all the way with the whole the Jedi shouldn't exist, you could have included a line of dialogue of him being like, and then I found out my dad killed a bunch of kids.
You're right. Oh my God. I wanted to wait until the end of the podcast for that one, but there was a natural.
We are on Return of the Jedi. What we have left for this rotation is the new saga. And I feel like already, this episode especially, has just felt like, I feel like there's been a lot of pent-up annoyance at the very least.
Yeah, this feels like a cathartic...
Fucking... This is our first rotation. We have titled this podcast Star Wars Every Week Forever. We already hate Star Wars, I feel I feel like we've already made ourselves hate this fucking franchise.
I did this way before this podcast. Every time I would watch through these movies, I'd be like, this is dumb and that's fucked up, and I'd still watch it and I'd still enjoy it. I think the difference now is that this is the first marathon I've done as what I would consider a full adult, despite the fact that I'm 29 and my last marathon was 2016. This is the most with it I've been. And I just, there's a lot here. There's a lot thematically here. And there's a lot about the directors here that I'm realizing. I'm still having fun, but fucking.
I'm having fun because I'm ranting with friends.
I'm slowly coming to the realization that Josh is trying to ruin every single thing I love about science fiction. Anyone who's close to me knows that I adore the Halo video games, and I'm aware they are flawed. Earlier this week, Josh went on a rant about those, and I was just like, "Oh, can I pretend like I didn't hear these things?" Because I can't refute them.
All I did was point out that the theme of the Halo series is basically the 9/11 scare is what it is, and it's disturbing when you get into it. That's all I said.
Nah, the theme is that you're this super soldier called the Mr. Chief.
No, I'm the worst thing for this kind of thing.
Well, it's like, I mean, so the problem is going to continue to be, because they can't leave Star Wars alone. And in some aspects, that's great. Like, I fucking love Rebels. I think I've said it a couple of times. I think I said it on the preview episode. I think Rebels and most of Clone Wars makes the prequels worse in retrospect, because Rebels and Clone Wars are so good. Mandalorian's great.
Oh, Mandalorian's godly.
But there's going to be an issue, I feel like, that we're going to run into where they keep fucking retconning and changing things that make make the canon not make much sense. Like,
well, okay, I will counterpoint this by saying that happened a long time ago. A long time ago. This whole thing, and I'll preface it by saying the reason why I love Star Wars so much, and this extended to the EU and is even true today, it feels like a universe where it just got shoved out into the world, and despite trademarks and everything else, it just said, here's something for you to create in, have fun. And if it fucks up things, screw it. But things have been fucked up in regards to this franchise for, God, since 94. Everything has started falling apart. It's too late. It's been too late for a long time.
Yes, but there is a big, big difference in the stuff they used to do and what they're doing now.
I don't
I mean, you can even just use, and I mean, this, for once, I can actually bring this back to the movie that we actually watched this week.
We're very Yoda, on point today.
Yoda multiple times says, like, and Obi-Wan has said it, and Yoda said, fucking Emperor says it, Vader says it. Luke is the only Jedi, and then no, there is another in reference to Leia. There are at least 3 other, not necessarily Jedi, because Ahsoka is not considered a Jedi anymore, Force-sensitive people out there.
Yeah, but that was true in the EU as well. I'm aware. I want there to be consistency in saying everything insular to Star Wars has fucked up Star Wars. I don't want it to be like, oh, no, this has been a problem for a very long time.
They also, they did the whole weird Qui-Gon thing with the Force Ghosts.
Yeah.
With, Qui-Gon's the first Jedi to ever figure out Force Ghost, and then he taught Yoda and Obi-Wan how to do it, who then apparently at some point taught Anakin to do it off-panel, off-screen, somewhere that we never saw.
Yeah.
And then they, in retrospect, taught Luke and Leia to do it at some point. Fucking...
Okay, like, Luke and Leia I could see, though, because there is time. I know, it's not quite...
There's some stuff I want to say about Leia and The Last Jedi that I want to save for that episode, so I don't want to get involved in this particular conversation.
All right. We'll hold that off. I will say, though, that it is plausible that they could have learned that ability.
Yeah, I don't...
In the time frame that the ghosts show up. Like,
the prequels, as soon as they were released, and God knows, I love Revenge of the Sith. Phantom Menace exists, but like This happened a long time ago. I don't want to make it seem like we're saying, oh, this is fucked up now. No, it's been fucked up for a long time, and I'm over that.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're not careful, you start to put blame on the people that aren't responsible. There's one person that's responsible, and that's Georgie boy. Georgie
Good old
boy set the
George.
precedent.
Good old
but
George. Gotta
and here,
love him.
first off, no.
That's fair. I can't
Second.
even argue with that.
Second, this is going to be a problem that we run into going forward because from this point on, this is no longer George's problem.
No.
So,
Well,
you
it's
cannot-
it's not George's problem for another like 3 weeks for us. Then we can get back to complaining about George.
yeah. But that's the thing. It's like there's plenty of issues that will be upcoming that you actually can't even blame George for. Now, that's not to say that George's original plan for 7, 8, and 9 aren't batshit.
I can't wait until we do that. I don't know when we're going to do that, but I can't
Oh
wait.
my god. I've been not that I come across it often, but I've been making sure not to interact with any of George's original material just so that I can get it all straight from you guys.
That shit.
It is so fucking insane. On an unbelievable level. Like,
Is there anything we want to say about this original trilogy watch before we write it off into the sunset and go into untapped ground? The sequels are what I'm most looking forward to because it's the movies I've watched by a long shot the least.
Oh, definitely. Same here, but I think the OT is still what I look forward to the most for the opposite reason, because it is very familiar territory, and it is territory I know I get along with. That being said, it definitely does not have enough pod races in it.
Fucking
damn
asshole.
it, Ben.
It's the original trilogy in terms of making content I look forward to the least, because it's like, God, all of it's been said a million times, over and over again. Like, even the prequels, you can pick apart the prequels in a way that's semi-new. It's like,
oh, shit. Sorry, I dropped a Kyber crystal.
What? Oh, it's your Disney lightsaber. Ben has a
Here's
Disney
the thing.
lightsaber.
I mean, there's the good thing about the fact that we all collectively have the worst case of ADD ever is the fact that we don't have to worry about treading ground that has been treaded for forever. Look what we did to this fucking episode. So I don't worry about the OT that much because, what can you say about them that hasn't been said except for talking about Luke finding a holocron about Qui-Gon doing coke. So
I feel like the OT, and this will be true about the prequels too, but to a lesser extent, I feel like the OT we're going to end up just talking about either old or current EU. Like, I feel like it's just going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're gonna like the EU part of us and like the insular canon and Star Wars projects. There's stuff we're gonna talk about, and we'll get a little more controlled with it. I think when we have an outlet to share those things, which will happen at some point. But I think the problem with talking about the original trilogy, IFM, is that when I sit down, other than Return of the Jedi, which I do think has a lot of problems, I usually sit down and I'm like, oh, I'm really enjoying this, which is cancer for trying to make good content.
I agree.
Like, people are here to hear us suffer. People are here to hear us suffer, it feels like.
Okay, but like, even so, I know, Josh, you're a fan of TLJ.
Yeah.
This next fucking 6 weeks is going to be a living hell.
I am
my next favorite movie, and I use favorite movie loosely to refer to pod racing isn't until Phantom Menace, and I still have to suffer through the Phantom Menace to get to the good part.
See, okay, so here's the thing. The Force Awakens is The Force Awakens. I don't agree with the way they did it, but as far as I'm aware, I'm not going to have a bad time with it. I am deeply worried about Rise of Skywalker, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones as a series of movies of 3 weeks of my life, every 9 weeks of my life. That horrifies me.
I feel like this is as good a place as any to do this because
oh no,
it feels like we're leaving behind the OT. Going into the new trilogy, I think it's important before we get to it and start ripping them apart that we clarify our feelings on some things and we make it very clear because there was some very toxic rhetoric around these movies.
Star Wars fans suck. Star Wars fans suck.
I think we make it very clear we are not those people.
No.
We have many problems with the movies that don't...
Oh, and hey, I'll do this because screw it. If you are those people, fuck off. Like, seriously, we don't need you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd rather us have the amount of viewers we have now than have all those folks.
Well, okay. I get... Like, I understand having legitimate criticisms about those movies.
Well, yeah, I'm saying...
Which I feel like this distinction is obvious to us, but I feel like it's a distinction that has to be made. That there's a big difference between legitimately, like, or even personally just being like me with The Last Jedi. Like, I personally don't like how they handle a lot of those things, but I'm not about to go fucking harass an actor off of social media because of those things.
And like,
it's like, if you have problems with these movies, like, okay, whatever, but just don't be an asshole.
And like, people don't know. First of all, let me preface this: we aren't critics, and we're a bunch of fucking dumbasses that are trying to get through by entertaining ourselves by watching one Star Wars movie every week forever. I don't think you've heard legitimate criticism on our part since the preview episode. That being said, there is a huge difference between criticism, what you want out of something and not getting that, and nitpicking. And the Star Wars fan base should probably learn what those differences are.
See, I'm the nitpick, but I nitpick for fun.
Yeah, but we nitpick for fun on the show. It doesn't like that's why it's not criticism.
That's the thing. I mean, there's there's a lot of shit that got, I don't know, like really heated for no reason. Like, I personally do not. I think there was a lot of people who felt betrayed, I guess would be the word I use, because fans feel they're owed something by the Kathleen Kennedy thing, because I think there was a lot of trust there of, she has been involved for a long time, this is going to be fun. And then when it wasn't fun, there was a lot of shit.
The same thing happened when the prequels came out. It's just that absolutely. Everything is a million times louder now.
And that's what I feel like. I don't have, like, obviously, like, statistics or anything on this, but, like, I feel like a lot of the flack the Star Wars community gets is flack that should be directed to a loud minority.
Yes,
personally, I want to have so much faith in this fan base because I absolutely love this franchise and everything. All my computer backgrounds are all Star Wars backgrounds. I love this franchise. I interact with it regularly, and I want to have so much more faith in this community. And when you hear all over the place about how terrible Star Wars fans are, I just want that little part of me that still believes in humanity that I don't know how it's still there. Just wants so bad to believe that it's just a loud minority.
That's, I mean, that's a pretty good way to look at it. I mean, Josh and I have talked about it. I don't know if we've mentioned it on the actual podcast. I think Josh and I have a really good perspective on it. We are also pro wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling fans.
It's the same thing.
Very loud very vocal minority of people who are the fucking worst.
Yep. Yep, it's the same thing. It's I don't want to say it's every fandom because that would be entirely unfair. But there is a habit of fandoms being defined by a vocal minority that won't shut up. And my hope is that that's the case with Star Wars. I just worry because most of the people I know outside of present company are not those people and are like the vocal minority. So it's good to preface this. We are a bunch of idiots who are trying to get through the idea of watching all of these movies so often for the rest of our life and spending so much time in them. Let's put it this way. I'm excited for the next 3 episodes because it's the area of the saga that none of us has ever talked about. I have seen The Last Jedi and the last what the I can't even remember the
Rise
name
of
of
Skywalker?
Episode 9. Rise of Skywalker. Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker with Ben, and even we have not talked about it that much.
No, I don't think we've really mentioned it. I want to say at all, but I don't know if that's accurate. But we have very rarely brought it up.
We had a conversation. The most we talked about, we had a conversation in the car during The Last Jedi, where Ben was very good with the movie, and then I pointed out the Leia scene, and how I was uncomfortable with it. And I think that was the start of him souring to it. But I still enjoyed the movie greatly. I think I've watched The Last Jedi like 3 times in total. I've only seen Rise of Skywalker once. I'm really looking forward to going into these movies because I don't know what my reaction to them is going to be. And for all I know, I might grow to appreciate them more. We might grow to appreciate them more. Or at the very least, we'll have something interesting to say rather than verbal vomiting the same shit over and over again. Like, I can't express enough. I'm excited for this.
I feel the same way. I'm actually excited.
I will say, coming out of the theater every time I saw these movies, I am very much the type of person where when I'm presented something, I need a lengthy amount of time to really digest it.
Well, that's everybody, yeah.
No, but like I feel like me more than most people, to be honest. Because like you said, walking out of that theater, once you started to point stuff out to me, it started to hit me, and then I started to look at it more so after. Like it takes me a while longer than I feel like most people to like really process stuff.
Yeah.
So once I got home and like a little bit after that, I started really mulling over not even just the Rise of Skywalker, but like the entire sequels. And that's kind of where I ended up now, where I'm kind of, I don't absolutely hate the sequels, but like I've grown a little cynical.
That's fair. Well,
so I can't wait to have alternate perspectives.
I'm looking forward to this. Except I'm really not looking forward to rewatching The Rise of Skywalker. This has been Star Wars Every Week Forever. Thank you for joining us. We will see you in the untreaded ground that is the sequel trilogy next week. And again,
Josh,
what?
it's a podcast. We won't see them.
Good night.